And the only way we're going to have a community is for the women to start giving the men what they say they want. Because the men aren't moving. The men have drawn a line. And men are saying to this point, I'd rather have nothing.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I am well. How old are you?
31.
31. All right. So we're talking about, I was talking about age gap dating or intercultural dating, but that went off the rails.
No, actually, that's what I was gonna stay on topic.
Okay, go ahead. Which one?
Um, Mostly
Well,
interracial.
why
Yeah.
is it a problem?
I don't know if it's necessary. I think I don't on the surface it's a problem until fetish.
Say again, you broke up?
I don't think it's a problem until it becomes a fetish, right? Um,
Okay, no disrespect, but how do you know when it becomes a fetish?
um, well, I think I will start off by saying, and this is not to take away from the accountability of Black women, because I do hear a lot of the stuff you say, and I watch a lot of your content. I do feel like um, the plight of Black women in America is very specific, and when ignore that and compare Black women to other races of women who haven't had a similar journey,
You
um,
mean similar choices?
similar choices, but I'm not saying that there isn't accountability that should be a part of that. I
Hmm.
like sometimes it's not fair to just compare Black women to white women who were
No, we compare Black women to older Black women.
Black. I'm sorry.
I compare Black women to Black women of old,
Okay.
and you fail.
Okay.
See, that completely undercut the whole chattel slavery and everything else out. Completely cut. All you gotta do is compare you to your grandmothers and great grandmothers who
Okay.
had it worse. Now go ahead and tell me about the plight.
I mean, yeah, I do feel like I love my grandmother and I learned a lot from her, about in regards to, just life. There were times when I was younger where I would get in arguments with her about,
Let me ask you a question.
yes, sir.
It's not fair to compare Black women against other women. What is it fair to compare Black? What is it? What judgment is fair regarding Black women?
Um, that is a good question. I think, well, when I think of it, because there's so much, I mean, when you talk about these things,
Let's keep it down. Don't give me the One Piece version.
I'm not trying to get you the war and peace. I'm just saying I think it's a bigger conversation.
Do Black men get compared to other groups of men? When you
Yeah,
talk about, do we?
and I do hear Black men.
Okay, but the problem is, do we about it?
No, because I don't think it's in the nature of men
That
to.
doesn't matter because do Asian men complain about being compared to white men, or did China decide to overtake them? The only group that complains about being compared to people is who?
Black people.
Black people. Black men don't complain.
I do feel like I've heard Black men say that it's not
When?
like to be
In
compared.
in the context of what? When Black women are trying to judge Black men on their production?
Um,
We don't complain against one another. The only time we even have to deal with this is because you bring it to us.
True, and I think I do. I come in peace, Mr. Sam.
I get we can
I
be in
come in
peace,
peace.
but we can be in peace. But when you say it's not fair to compare Black women because of their journey, I call bullshit. Because I got news for you. We all have to compare Black women to Black women of old. Prior
True.
to 1965, this didn't just start in the 60s. Black women have been moving away from Black men since the 1920s. Since the FDR.
May I ask you a question
Go
though?
ahead.
Um, I do feel like there's so much has changed in the world that is beyond the control, my control. Like my grandmother didn't have to have this device where she could communicate and have access to so many different people. And I do think that changes the way in which we have relationships, right? And the world has evolved so much since my grandmother's time.
Can you make it simpler?
Huh?
Can you make it shorter, please?
Just saying, but like to compare, yes, there's so many things that my qualities that my grandmother had that I don't have, but the world has changed and we have evolved, right?
No, okay, okay. So because of technology,
Um,
what does it have to do with a black woman's weight?
I'm sorry.
What does that have to do with what does that have to do with a woman's weight?
Oh, with a woman's weight, I don't know. I feel like there are
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah, I mean that is a personal. I mean,
It's
if
not
you,
a personal. The average black woman is 5'4" and weighs 187 pounds. That is more than a man.
yeah, we need to take accountability on that.
Okay, so
There's other
I
things.
keep asking you what judgment or criticism is fair? Because all I'm hearing is we've evolved and times are hard. So what?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't. I think to ignore that is not
I think to
entirely.
continue, I think, okay, why do black women get that as an excuse and no one else does?
I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's
Well, here's the bottom line of it. So fucking what? No one cares, and people are tired of hearing y'all complain and say play victim queens.
it's not about playing victim.
Well, it is because I keep asking you what criticism is fair, what judgment is just, and all I'm hearing, forgive me, all I'm hearing is I don't think it's fair to compare us because times are different.
Well, I also think I believe that you know um, it's in the fabric of this nation, or you know us not having a level playing field. So when you make that comparisons, I don't think it's always fair to say this group of women is better than in the same sense that I feel like black men are unjustly compared to other groups of men based off of what they have and don't have. But I do come in peace. I do feel like these are important conversations to have, and I'm not taking away from the accountability that women should have.
How much do you think it should matter? How much do you think all the disadvantages that black women have out of 100%? How much of a curve should we grade black women on?
I don't think it's so much about the.
That's what we need as men, though. We don't need. We listen. We hear you. It's
Mhm.
not fair. How many? You went to college or high school? I did. There's a curve. How much of a curve? So if you made a 58 and there's a 17-point curve, your 58 is now a 75. Your F is now a C. How much of a curve do we need to grade black women on? Give us the number as
I
black men.
for it, but I do know.
What you got to give us something because you can't just keep saying, you can't keep coming to class failing and saying, well, every test is different. The books, the light, the conditions. No, that's not how it works. Just like reparations. You talk about the reparations argument. Eventually, you're going to have to give a number.
Mm, I
Give
mean,
us a goddamn number. Give us a number to grade because what it feels like as men is you don't want to be held accountable.
I do.
I'm sorry, man.
It's not about
Hold on.
I think.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry to overtalk you. I
My
know.
point is, it doesn't matter if you don't give us what we want. We're not going to continue to have these philosophical conversations. Do you realize? How old are you?
31.
31. Men your age are dating out at higher and higher numbers. Men my age, Generation X black men were the last generation of black men to be raised in a black environment. Zennials, even more. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't get us, who you gonna get? Because Bradley, Ahmed, and Enrique ain't rushing over here to marry black women. Bottom line is, you're going to have to give the men what they want. You're going to have to give the men and say, okay, give black women a 20% break. Okay, we'll give you a 20% break, but that's it. Just like reparations. All right, because see, reparations, if they cut a reparations check and say, okay, here's what it is, and after you get it, you can't keep coming back.
But
But see,
my
that's eventually you're going to have to compete.
it's yeah, and I do believe it is about competing, but
Okay.
I also believe that there are outside factors that make it
Always will be.
I
Always will be. I don't care. See, that's
yeah,
the
my
problem. See, the
want
problem
that.
is there always will be. Are you an NFL fan or an NBA fan?
I'm an NBA fan.
Ma'am, LA always has is always going to be in contention. There's certain teams that are always going to be good. There are teams that generally cellar dwellers. The league is what it is. When are women going to start competing?
Mm.
Regardless as to how the league is, where the 3-point line is, how fouls are called,
But
the game is going on.
I do feel like there are groups of Black people that love each other, that get along, that make it work, and I think that's important for us. And I don't believe that divestment is necessarily the answer to our problems. And to
Well,
have
unfortunately, it doesn't really matter what you think. It matters what the men think.
okay, fair enough, fair.
And women tell the men of any group what they think they deserve by their appearance and their attitude.
Mm.
How are most of our women showing up in the world? Are they showing up fit?
The ones that I know do.
80%. I don't see. See, that's when we don't like have conversations. When you do that, that's
Yeah.
not coming in peace. That's not coming in peace.
Okay.
Do you understand that's not coming in peace when I ask a direct question that you know the answer to and you do that? Or do you think that's peaceful?
I actually don't. I mean, I'm sorry. I am ignorant of the actual numbers of women that are overweight. That's not something that I'm.
Okay. But you have what state do you live in?
I live in New York,
New York City?
New York City.
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Okay. I was in Brooklyn 4 weeks ago, and I can look around and tell you that New York City looks like any other city in this country. I'm not seeing dress size 4 Black women everywhere I go. I'm seeing a lot of. So whether you know the exact percentage or not, you're 31. You've heard the number of 80%.
Mm.
True or false?
What is true or false? I'm
Have
sorry.
you heard the number of 80% of our women being overweight?
From you, I have. Yes.
Okay,
True.
well then, have you gone to research the number yourself? To the
I,
naked, because to the naked eye, you can go and see 5'4", 187 pounds.
yeah. That's not something that like I said, I'm not really. It's something that I'm aware of because I'm in. I do.
Well,
I'm
see,
a.
that's the problem because you're a woman. You don't have to be aware of it. But at the end of the day, women of the group tell the men what they think they deserve by their appearance and their attitude. 80% of our women are showing up overweight. What's the attitude like of the average sister?
Um, I imagine that a lot of us are disgruntled, fed up. Um,
Fed up with what?
a plethora of things. Um, and I think it's not just one thing. Yeah, I think
Think a bunch of y'all. Think a bunch of Black women are snowflakes. Y'all ain't had to deal with nearly the stuff your mothers, your grandmothers, any other group of women. I think a lot of y'all are just fixated on your myopic problems because 54% of Black men are single and childless. 16% of Black men are responsible for 80% of the children in our community. So when you hear Black women talk about Black men, y'all are talking about roughly less than 20% of Black men, but you extrapolate it out to all men.
I don't.
Okay. I don't care about it's not just you.
I know,
There's
but
no reason at 31 years old, honestly, upset about many things. I'm sorry, but you didn't grow up in the Jim Crow South. You live in the freest time in history. You're the most educated, the freest group of women, and you act like the world. I said this in Miami. Women today are freer than they've ever been, but they listen to them talk. They act like they live under the Taliban.
I would argue free in what,
Oh, Jesus H.
but
Christ.
that's just me. But I mean,
And this is and the fact that the answer, man, because you are more like a lot of college educated sisters, and you're frustrating to talk to.
okay.
Because we can tell you stuff, and then it's always, well, it depends. I know my friends, this nuance. I'm gonna be as delicate as I can. Black men get sick of hearing. Y'all just never say yes. You never just say, is that right? That's the problem. We'll fix that. It's always, well, let's have a discussion. We're tired of talking to y'all and trying to reason with y'all about everything. You give us what we want, or you go get with another group of men, and ain't nobody rushing to get y'all.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. I've worked in corporate America where other groups of men are like, how do y'all deal with that at home? How do you deal with that? I don't even want to deal with it as an office manager.
Mm.
So you're saying they're disgruntled. Why are they disgruntled? We got a 50-some-odd% divorce, almost 60% divorce rate. But 8 out of 10 divorces in our community are filed by women. You listen to my show. How often do you hear women talk about, I'm in this relationship, but they're always the one leaving?
Mm.
I mean, seriously. What do you have to be disgruntled about outside of the fact that we are 13% of this population? Racism, white supremacy, and institutional, it ain't going anywhere. It ain't going anywhere. So stop complaining about it.
Mm.
The Chinese have done something about it. The Jews have done something about it. The gays have done something about it. Become powerful enough. But you can't become powerful enough because you're not with your men.
And that's what I want to be with.
Well, the way you become to be with your men is give us what the F we're asking for.
Yeah.
Fit, feminine, friendly, child, cooperative.
Okay. And what if you have all of those things and still?
Then you don't have all those things.
Okay.
That's the answer. Women like that have a man.
True.
So are you saying you have all those things and don't have a man?
I believe I do. I mean, I do have a man though.
A husband.
Not a husband. No, I don't. I do. Yeah, that's finding marriage-minded men is not as easy as I.
Why should finding something valuable be easy?
It's not, and it shouldn't be.
Well, how long y'all been together?
2 years.
You know what I'm gonna say?
Time to go. I know.
So I don't want to hear shit about being frustrated. Did you start dating this man with the intention of being married?
Yes.
Did he start dating you with the intention of being married?
Yes.
Did you define the time frame of when a marriage should happen?
Yes, I'm giving it to the end of the year.
No. With the beginning.
No, that.
Then it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So saying the way you ladies like to tell stories is that's the men's fault. No, man. You walked into a relationship, you went into a job, still negotiating your benefits package and your salary, but you're already at work. That's your problem. And then you think you can take that out and then project it out to everywhere else? So no.
No, it definitely took time for me to learn that. You're right. There's a learning curve, and.
But I'm also giving the benefit of the doubt too, man. Women who are really marriage minded, like you're talking about, wouldn't have tolerated this.
You're right.
I know.
You're right.
They'd have been gone. So what I'm saying is oftentimes women will say there's something that they're not because they believe that. Because no, you wouldn't have tolerated it. So move you to the side. I hear women like you all the time. Often, I hear women. I said, move you to the side. I often hear women talk about the structural issues of the country. We are a minority. If illegal immigrants can come over here from Mexico and took the black side of town.
I'm not disagreeing with you. You're right.
I know.
That's
Why can't the black community move? You ready for the truth? You really ready for it? Our population number has been stagnant for how long?
probably the last 30 years.
Why?
I believe that you have a number of things. You have a lot of people who have decided to date outside of their race,
Uh-uh.
who are
Uh-uh. Dating outside of your race still produces children. I don't think you really want the answer. Go ahead. Go
are
ahead.
old women are waiting too late to have kids.
That's not why our population numbers have been stagnant.
Well, then I give up. I don't know the answer to this.
Well, if people are still okay, think about it. Think about it. It's marital rates are dropping, sure, but
Why?
what's have you ever looked at the Planned Parenthood and abortion rate in the black community? Have
Oh
you ever,
yeah, because okay, then the answer would be the amount of women that are having abortions. We make up the most, and from my
what's
understanding, huh?
what's the number since the 70s?
I want to say something. It's a ridiculously high number percentage of
What's the numbers? The number was it in the thousands?
millions
Millions?
of aborted babies. You said,
Yeah,
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 I'm familiar with that statistic.
yeah, yeah. It can't have you can't you got 80% of our children. In 1960, we had a 29% out of birth out of marriage birth rate. And that was considered to be a crisis in 1965. It's 80%, it's 70 to 80% now.
Hmm.
The deletion rate in our community,
Yeah,
and there are no, and who leads the community?
at the moment, or who should be leading?
Either answer.
Um, at the moment, I will say Black women are leading.
Who should be leading?
I do feel like men should be leading. Although some people probably who know me probably think that's
They think what?
um, not the most political correct thing, because some people I don't know, but I do believe the Black.
What do you mean not the most politically correct thing?
Um, I believe Black men should be leading.
But you think people would say that's not a politically correct thing to say?
Yeah, there are some people who believe that, but I don't believe that.
Well, are they black?
Yeah,
Are they female?
some of them are. Yeah,
Are they
but
male as well too?
yes, there. I mean,
Heterosexual?
that some not all,
Heterosexual men?
not all, but some people believe that.
So let me ask you: if you ask any other race of woman who leads their community,
Mm,
are they gonna have a problem with giving a? Seriously?
I mean, no, I think that's by design.
No, it's by choice. See, I'm gonna do a program on this next week because that is the one of the final fig leaves. By saying by design, you can say, well, it's not really our fault. No, no, no. Prior to the Great Society, prior to Lyndon Baines Johnson, black women were already leaving black men. After World War, I'm going to do it all breakdown. We're going to give all the numbers to dispel this myth right here, because somehow we believe this just started in the last 50 years. And I'm sorry, we have since the 1910s and 20s they've been talking about this. Black women have been leaving black men right out of slavery. But I'm going to actually do the program with the data and the books and the references, so you can go look for it yourself.
I mean, I can
This
look up.
didn't just happen in the last 50 years, ma'am. We didn't just jump up and have a 29% out of wedlock childbirth rate in 1965. I mean,
But there was an incentive. I know that in my lifetime, there was incentives that caused.
Careful.
I mean,
Careful. Now, what incentive you want to talk about? First off, I know what we want to talk about. We can, but I've already discussed the Monahan report. Monahan says it, but bottom line, it's a choice. Women still chose. Incentive or not, they still chose. And at the end of the day, you say the black men should be leading the black community. Well, I got one question for you. How can black men, when black women say that, I ask you, what black men are you following?
my father.
And thank you. I just said it. I said it on YouTube earlier.
Yeah.
If you say your father, your cousin, your brothers, don't talk to me because it's supposed to be your husband. Thank you. You hear black women all the time talking about the institutional problems and the racism and this and that, but you ask who leads the community, they'll tell you women. They'll tell you it should be the men, and pull out your Uno reverse card and always ask them, what men are you following? And it will always be the same.
I don't know what happened to my picture. Can you see?
It'll be the same. You're not following, you don't have a husband. I'm following my father. Your father ain't, and at 31 years old, look how far behind. You should have had a husband in your early 20s.
And I really desire, I do feel like, finding someone to lead. I want to follow a man, but I don't want to be led down the wrong path because.
Thank you. There it goes. All I had to do is wait.
I know,
Fear, scarcity, and lack, anxiety, and stress. No. I got it. It always comes to the same thing, people. They want to be led, but they want to be led the way they want to be led. This is a power struggle with them. This is why you can mix and match, pull it, any piece of interview, and it's the same pathology. It's the same. You don't want to be led wrong. I mean, how do you know? First of all, due respect. You live in Brooklyn?
Yes, sir.
If I asked you how to get to Statue of Liberty, could you tell me?
Yes, I could.
Well, if I asked you to get to Bergdorf Goodman, can you tell me how to do that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then if I asked your neighbor how to get to Bergdorf Goodman, you think they give me the exact that same direction you would give me?
Probably not. No.
If I asked a man how to get to Bergdorf Goodman, you think he'd tell me?
No, probably.
The destination is the same, but the route is different. But you ladies think your route is paramount. Just because you want us to take your route, we don't think like you. We don't do like you. And the problem is, why this is a problem, is because you want us to keep understanding you, and you're supposed to be understanding us. You're supposed to be understanding us, the leader. We're not supposed to be understanding you, the troop. We're the king, you're the queen, right? But the queen is supposed to follow the order, not. But you'll hear black women telling you, you're supposed to deify us. You're out of order. And this is when you hear talking about, I don't want to have the wrong directions, the nerve.
Well, I do watch a lot of your content, and I fear, being led to the path of I know that I'm in control of my partner, and I've done a good job of knowing when that person is not right for me and right for my life.
In control of your partner?
Well, I have a good idea of when someone is not marriage minded and be of the percentage that you talk about a lot that make up that small percentage of men. So that's what I try to avoid, if that makes sense.
Mm-mm.
It doesn't. But no,
Nope.
I hear you.
No, it doesn't. No, but what I'm hearing is a nicer version of modern woman. You're honestly, I'm gonna tell you what people will call you, a chameleon. You know some of the buzzwords.
No.
But I'm telling you, see, when I tell you what some people will call you, you don't say no. See, that's the problem. Yes, you are. Your nature is to be disagreeable. I said, you know what some people call you, a chameleon, and she's saying no. How the hell do you even know what I'm talking about? What is a chameleon?
An animal that switches colors when it touches a surface.
So you think that's what I'm calling you, a physical chameleon?
No.
A physical animal.
That camouflages in nature, that can navigate and change depending on the room that they're in and the conversation they're having.
Can't make shit up. And this is why I said men are on the lookout for women like you. You come to these spaces, you say some of the right things, but at the end of the day, you still move like modern women. And when pressed, there it is. You'll see in the comment section.
Yeah, they're gonna
Well,
fight.
but it's not gonna be firing you up. It's what they see. It's what I see. It's you're not loud. You're not aggressive. You say I come in peace or this, that, da, da, da. But really, you're still a modern woman. You're just a nicer version of a modern woman. I call you variants and chameleons because you said you're in control of your partner and this and that. I'm listening to a 31-year-old woman who says you want to be married. Okay, I got a hard question for you. Okay, ready? Prepared?
Maybe.
Are you a wife?
I am. I know I am. I know I would be an excellent wife. I know I would
How
be.
long have you known you were a wife?
And within the last year, I will say. Okay. And that's pretty late.
Is your boyfriend a husband?
No. And
how long have you known
that? Within the last few weeks.
Those things don't line up, man.
I know.
Women who are wives don't tolerate men who aren't husbands. It's just like chameleons do this conditional femininity thing, which we've seen on display right here. To be masculine does not mean to be loud. But there's conditional femininity. There's still a control mechanism. Even when I ask you questions about, Black women and being accountable and this and that, women who are truly understanding men don't waffle, don't run in that gray area. Women who really understand men aren't hedging to not offend women because there is an order everywhere else. You ask a Latina and she will tell you the order is Father, God, man, child, woman. Even in the video I asked, where the woman asked about smiling, and I asked, do you belong to us? Mm-hmm. And the answer is no. Even with you, you're not following a man, you're following your father. So maybe you want to be a wife, but what I'm saying is we attract what we are. So maybe you're not the wife you think you are.
Maybe you're right.
I'm telling you what I've kind of gathered from you is you seem to be a nice person, but I would bet in a relationship you're more modern because I'm just going to tell you, man, a lot of the reasons and excuses you said, institutional racism, and my grandmother was born in 1924. My grandfather was born in 1919. I was born in 69. I saw racism. In Oklahoma, we still had sundown towns. Mm. Y'all ain't really experienced what my point is, ultimately, if we're going to get this thing straight, it is going to be for women to stop asking to be graded on the curb. No white supremacy, racism, da 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 da. Got to get in line because every other group of women, when the chips are down, they line up with their men. Our women line up with themselves. And like you said, even by you saying what you said, you got to fear people saying that's not too politically correct. Well, how do you win any kind of wars if you're trying to ask each person on the battlefield how they feel about an order? Is that, see what I'm saying?
Well, what I meant by that is I believe that Black men should lead
I got what you believe. But what I'm
But
saying is
I
you have friends that will be offended by hearing that.
some people would be offended by that, but also I do feel like,
Are these people your friends though?
yeah, some of them are.
Then beloved, you need new friends. Because I'm gonna tell you, wives, there are spaces on YouTube right now where you'll find plenty of women who are wives making content. If you listen to me, single women keep some women single and that kind of stuff is not conducive to because a leadership minded husband, let's say I was your husband. Let's just say, boom, Thanos snap, I'm your fiance. Do you think for 1 minute I would be okay with you having friends like that?
Probably not.
And it'll be a real simple choice. Your friends, how females are, your brains and the way your software works, you are you are you're influenced by the good opinion of your friends
Mm.
and your peer group. That's just how the female is. You're the most social of the group. You're the more nurturing. That's how it's in your makeup. So if me as a fiance, well, I'd have to look at your friends to see what kind of influence my future wife is going to be around and what kind of influence that's going to have in my kingdom and in my household and then around my kids. And I would have to tell you, I love you, but it's them or me. And if you choose them, I'll hate to see you go, but I'm going to let you leave. And if you chose them, I'd shed a tear and I'd kick rocks and keep it moving. And that's the strength, and that's what, because if not, how do you destroy an opposing kingdom? You can either war with them or you can destroy them with counterintelligence from the inside. And you sitting around people that are PC and worried about this kind of stuff, and you want to live a more traditional life where men lead, how does that work if they're your influencers? If you watch my content, I've said it before, a lot of you single ladies are going to need to detach from your friends and be alone.
Yeah.
Because being alone gives you a chance to get some perspective, also detox from that kind of stuff, also get away from, you said there are guys in this group?
Well, I do. Well,
You have
I
male friends? You have
uh,
male friends?
yes, I have both male and female friends who would believe that Black women can lead.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna be honest right now. The men I know who are marrying, who are getting engaged, who are marrying right now,
Don't.
they don't do that male friend stuff.
Yeah.
See all them hearts, that's men. They don't do that male friend stuff. So why are y'all friends if y'all don't even believe the same things? Most of the time because you work together, you went to school together. But if they're not, but how are these group of friends conducive to the long term outcome you want to have with a man and a family? And if you don't think that that's even impacted our conversation, well, it also impacts the energy you carry out to the world, the level you vibrate at. So you
Mm.
attract men who are kind of in that range. So it doesn't surprise me that, I mean, it makes sense. You got a modern kind of PC, we're equal kind of whatever, more socially liberal. We don't need to be married. We don't need whatever. And
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest,
We don't.
a lot of men of value are socially conservative.
We don't need to be married. I don't believe that though. No.
I'm talking about your
Oh.
friend group.
Oh. Okay.
A lot of men of value are socially conservative.
Mm.
And that's what you get when you get a nuclear family structure in a traditional family. It tends to be socially conservative because we have to be concerned not with our woman, but who our woman is around and the influences. So just think about the things I've said. I mean, you know, I mean, if your boyfriend watches this show anyway, if y'all ain't on the same page, if you want marriage, it's time to go ahead and leave.
You're
Because
right.
I mean, if he, it's been 2 years. You don't want nobody trying to marry you just because they're afraid to have you leave. But ultimately, I'll say this: thank you for the conversation. But the whole thing about chameleon wasn't meant to be an insult. What I'm trying to get ladies to understand is our culture is one thing, but men are adept at reading you guys much more than you are at reading us. And the only way we're going to have a community is for the women to start giving the men what they say they want, because the men aren't moving. The men have drawn a line, and men are saying to this point, I'd rather have nothing. So intercultural dating ain't your problem, because if he wasn't with Marisol, Marlene, Jamila, Becky, or whatever, that don't mean he's gonna be with you. Not you, you know what I mean. That mean that.
The universal you. Okay.
Well, yeah, because you're not getting what you want.
Mm.
I posted a picture of the famous performer RuPaul on my Instagram when he was in full drag with purple hair, big yellow earrings, and everything else. And I said, who would have thought 25 years ago? Who would have thought 25 years later, women would be proudly rocking this look? And of course, they try to make it seem like I'm anti-LGBTQ plus. I'm like, no, but you want. But then I also in the comment section, you see many guys saying, I've seen this color hair all day today. I'm here in Atlanta. I'm in the mall. I'm seeing purple hair, green hair, red hair. That's not what men want. Women have to give the men of the group what we say we want, or we're not going to do what you want us to do.
Mm.
So thank you. Have a good evening. Have a good holiday. It's Christmas Eve. Better go to sleep tonight before Santa throw some pepper in your eye.
Oh no, don't say that.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye. Yeah,